Okay, we're going to replace the impeller for the water pump on the Honda 150 on my boat. Start with, you need parts. You can find a little bracket on the starboard side that'll give you your serial number, get the model number, and you can order those online or however you want to find them for Honda parts. I use boat.net. There's little 4 pieces that you need that are the critical part of doing this little project, and so good luck, and here we go. Okay, so this time we're replacing the impeller off the water pump on the 150 Honda VTEC. And so this is going to be not a very difficult process, really, once you've done it. There's 3 volts this side, bump, bump, 3 bolts matching on the other side, and then underneath we have the trim tab. You take the nut off the trim tab, there's going to be a long bolt in there that holds this lower portion on. So the trim tab, they have a little indicator. These are obviously adjustable, and so they have that little indicator so that it shows you where you decided to adjust it so that it was functioning for you. I think this one's like straight on, and that if you like it the way it was, you want to mark it so that you know to get it back there when you reinstall that. Okay, and please hit the like button down below, a little thumbs up, and if you can subscribe, that'd be fantastic. Doesn't cost you anything, and it sure would help me out. Appreciate it. Make an old man happy. Thanks. Okay, so we've got the bolts out. They're all 14 millimeters, so that makes life easy, and they are all the same size. Thank you, Honda. So there's no mystery anywhere. So we're going to pry this thing out slowly, hitting it with a hammer. See if we can break. Okay, so when you're doing this, don't hit it too hard. Rubber mallet, obviously. Just kind of jiggling it to try to get it, hitting it on the fins probably wasn't the best idea, but got to get it so that it separates from the splines on the drive shaft and the gear shaft. So this will help that happen. Another note is this is heavy. It's almost 50 pounds, the bottom of this thing. So I'm just stubborn German and going for it. Probably wouldn't hurt to have somebody else maybe there or something underneath it, more closer than I had it, so that if that weight got away from you, it would have nowhere to go. So you might want to think about that as you set this up, and then you're just vibrating this thing. You're not trying to break any of the fins or anything. Just give it a little jiggle and it'll want to start to go. Thanks. Aha. Now we're getting somewhere. Okay, and now we got it out. Not too bad of a struggle. And it has got 4 bolts. Great thing about these Honda, this design, at least on the Honda, is that the gear shift is here, and so there's no rod that goes up for that. This is just like a little pitot tube that's not even used anymore on this application. So there's not a whole lot to fuss with. This is where the water comes out of the impeller and joins in. So it's all pretty simple there. Okay, so 4 bolts are removed. These are all 12s millimeter. Bang on it again with a hammer because I'm a carpenter and that's how everything gets solved. And that's why we do it, for the gratification. And it comes up. And off. And here's our keeper. Don't lose that inside somewhere. That'd be annoying. And this will come off and we'll get at the impeller. And so there's the impeller. There's the plate down below. Doesn't look too badly worn, so we will leave that. We're going to change out the impeller. Notice the rotation on it, because that's critical to everything being good at the end, is to have those little ears go in the same direction as they were before, or else it'll tear itself up. Okay, so we've got these two little pins, which are actually part of the motor. So those, on mine, they had a little bit of corrosion, but they'll pop right off. Once that's done, then this plate will come up. If you do it carefully, you won't bend it. There we are. Yay-ho. Okay, so plate's off. Plate looks good. We're looking down in here just to see if anything looks weird, and it doesn't. This gasket will come off and we'll replace it since we have a new one. Why the heck not? Okay, gasket's off. Everything looks clean. We're looking down the holes, make sure nobody's in there, no sand or anything that needs to be more aggressively looked after. Leave the rest of this intact. It didn't need much cleaning even on the gasket. So that part's good. We'll hit this with some oil, grease, I'm sorry, some marine grease at these points and at this point in here, just because it's exposed and now's the time to do it. Okay, so again, you can see the area of rotation sits like this. So obviously, if I'm looking down, this shaft needs to rotate clockwise in order to have the splines be going the right way, the fins. And so because this impeller is much bigger than the small motors, I'm going to put it on the shaft first so I get the spline lined up, and then I'll use the rotation of the shaft arm to get these things going in the right direction as I seat them. Okay, I've got that little keyway lined up. I've got this thing, there's no way getting it upside down. Got a little bit of grease going on to help it. Those 2 points where I had a little corrosion on those pins, I put a little grease just for keep that hopefully from building up again. And now we will put the top on, which also has a little bit of grease in there, marine grade grease. Okay, so bump. Now, the trick is, as you put pressure down, you're going to spin this thing, and that will keep it, get it going in that clockwise direction. Like that there. Goes in smoothly, no kinks. Goes down all the way on those little tabs, and we are good. You can see just a little bit the start of some wear on these. So you can see 2 years salt water, about 300 hours on the motor. And it's not very slow when I'm running it. So that is the start of disaster. That's why you do this. Just a little bit of marine grade grease on the base of the bolts as they go in. Don't get it on the bottom. Don't get it in the hole, because that grease will never compress. You won't be able to get it tightened. So just on the threads themselves, and then as they seat themselves home, they'll move the grease upwards, and you're looking to avoid some corrosion on these bolts so you can get them off later. The marine grease will keep moisture out, and hence the salt water and corrosion. The Loctite, apparently, if you can try to use that, or the non-seize material would be more appropriate, but just make sure it doesn't have copper in it. because copper would be the kiss of death on an aluminum block in salt water. So that's why I use grease. It's just easier to know it's not going to be a problem. Okay, so there you have the inside of the motor. There's a shift gear that we need to get on. There's the where the hose connection comes in, and then we have the shaft going up. So we'll get some grease on the shaft and the shifting gear so that makes it a little easier, and we'll see if we can get this puppy to come back together. Okay, now we're going to have it start up. We got the pump going. We got a good trail of water coming out, showing we got that going right. And now I'm going to test it for gear, that the linkage is all good. It's going forward. It stops. It goes in reverse. Put the little flags on there so I can see it. So everything looks like it's good and it's ready to get the prop on and go back in the water.